Hi, bankruptcy attorney Brian Barboza here, and today I'm going to discuss what is Chapter 7 bankruptcy and how does it work. Before we get started, if bankruptcy is something that you are interested in talking more about or you're interested in exploring, please feel free to give me a call or go to my website, barbozalaw.com, book an appointment to speak with me for free directly through my website. Okay, what is Chapter 7 bankruptcy and how does it work? Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a specific type of bankruptcy. There are different types of bankruptcies. We call these chapters. There's a Chapter 7, there's a Chapter 11, there's a Chapter 12, there's a Chapter 13, and there's a Chapter 9. Different types of bankruptcies for different financial situations. Chapter 7 specifically is designed for businesses and for individuals, for people. Okay. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is generally pretty quick. It usually only lasts 90 days. You file Chapter 7 bankruptcy 90 days later, so long as a creditor or the government has not objected to your bankruptcy case or objected to the discharge of a specific debt, that then the discharge will be issued and your case will conclude. That's normally how most of them work. There is a hearing during the Chapter 7 bankruptcy case called a meeting of creditors. It's usually about a month after you file. You have to attend this hearing. Creditors are also allowed to attend this hearing and they can question you while you are under oath. But the hearing, most of the time, creditors don't show up most of the time, and we can anticipate most of the questions that will be asked of you. As far as deciding whether or not you should file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there's really going to be three things that you want to consider. Okay? The three things are, number one, do you qualify for Chapter 7? Number two, will your debts go away if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy? Or do you have specific type of debts that might not go away? And third, do you own any assets that if you were to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you might lose to a bankruptcy trustee? So number one, do you qualify for Chapter 7? This is based on really two variables. Number one is to be eligible for Chapter 7, you cannot have filed a Chapter 7 in the last 8 years. You can do Chapter 7 multiple times throughout your life, but there has to be at least 8 years or more in between the cases. Okay. In addition, you have to pass what's called a means test. A means test is where we take your income for the last 6 months. We average that income, and then we have to compare your income to the average income of a household similar in size in your region. If you make less than the median income of a household similar in size, it's presumptively okay to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you make more than the median income, then you might not qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. We got to go on and pass or draft about another 9 or 10 pages of this means test form to determine at the end of the month, after your necessary living expenses, how much money should you have left over to pay your debts. If the means test suggests that you have about $175 a month or more at the end of every month as discretionary income, then it would be an abuse to let you do Chapter 7. You would have to do a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and pay a monthly payment for 60 months, and then you would get your discharge. Okay, so that's eligibility and qualifying for Chapter 7. Now, the second thing you always want to consider is what's going to happen to your debts. As a general rule, things like credit card debts and medical bills and debts that are arising from an auto repossession, personal loan, things like that, those generally go away if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But there are specific debts that will not. For instance, student loans don't just go away if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Recent tax debt within the last 3 years, that generally will not go away in a bankruptcy, Chapter 7 bankruptcy case. And there's some other debts that would not also go away. So it's important for you to know which of your debts will go away if you file bankruptcy and which of your debts will not. And then the third thing you want to consider is, do you own any property that if you were to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you might actually lose to a bankruptcy trustee? And what I mean by that is this: on the day you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, all of your property becomes property of a bankruptcy trustee. This trustee's job is to determine what you own, what is not exempt, and sell or liquidate whatever property you own that is not protected or exempted, and give the money over to your creditors. Now, a bankruptcy attorney like myself, my job is to exempt or protect as much of your property as you can legally protect in a bankruptcy case. And we do this by exempting your property using the laws in the state in which you live in at the time you file bankruptcy, although there's some exceptions to this based on how long you've been in that state. So it can get pretty complicated. But what happens is we list your property, we value your property, and then we exempt your property. And if there's anything that's not exempt, then the bankruptcy trustee, in theory, could take that asset, liquidate it, and pay it over to your creditors. So the third thing you'd want to consider is, if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, are you at risk of losing any of your property? Okay, it's a pretty good thing to know before you file. But that is it. Those are the three things you would want to consider before filing bankruptcy. That is what Chapter 7 bankruptcy is generally. If you have any questions or want to talk about bankruptcy or explore your bankruptcy options, please feel free to give me a call or go to my website, barbozalaw.com. I would be happy to speak with you for free about your financial situation. As always, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your time. I hope you got something out of it. Hope it was helpful, and have a good rest of your day. All right, thanks. Bye.